This is Sarah Mears. She's a Bradford-born 38-year-old and is running one of the biggest business empires on Earth. Or so it would appear. The record shows Sarah Mears controls more than 1,200 companies across the British Virgin Islands, New Zealand, Ireland and in the UK. You would think that such a vast global empire would be run from a magnificent glass-towered skyscraper in the heart of the city. But you'd be wrong. This is one of the London addresses for Sarah we found through official records. It's up on the 5th floor. It's a nice area, but it's certainly not big enough to be the base for hundreds of companies. There's no sign of Sarah here. We uncovered an address for Sarah Mears on the Isle of Sark, a remote, self-governing tax haven in the Channel Islands. Alas, when we called to ask her about her impressive business empire, it transpired she had left for the sunnier climes of Nevis. Nevis is not exactly what you would call a global business centre. A tiny island, 5 miles across, in the Caribbean, with a population less than most UK villages. It's not easy to get to either. From the UK, it involves an infrequent 3,000-mile flight to nearby St Kitts via Antigua. A 45-minute ferry trip then takes you to Nevis. There are 3 addresses on the island linked to the Mears. One turns out to be the island post office, another is a bank branch. The third is this substantial family home, which is very nice in comparison to some of the other dwellings on the island. Still, not what you'd expect for the headquarters of a global business empire. It appears as if Sarah Mears' global corporate empire is essentially a sham. She's what you call a nominee director. She appears on the paperwork, but only signs legal documents on the instructions of others. This allows the real people behind offshore companies complete anonymity. 12 years ago, the UK government tried to stamp out this practice after a Sark-based director was struck off for acting as a nominee. The then Competition Minister, Kim Howells, said at the time,
"The trade in providing nominee director services from the island of Sark has been a scandal. It has enabled those who are already disqualified to continue trading anonymously. The courts have now effectively outlawed this abuse. Nobody should be left in any doubt that we will act whenever there are serious failings by directors. There should be no hiding place for people who trade behind apparently respectable companies while cheating their customers and suppliers."
The Nevis government seems less concerned. Delly Keynes, a spokeswoman from the Prime Minister's office, refused to appear on camera but gave the following statement.
"The offshore are one of the reasons Nevis and St Kitts are doing well. Is it locals complaining or those from overseas? It's not the locals. If Britain is crying about its tax dollars, that's not really a problem for us."
As long as places like Nevis are willing to turn a blind eye to these practices, people like Sarah Mears will continue building their imaginary empires, and the real offshore giants will stay in the shadows.